The program is State Affairs. Chief Tola Adeniyi, it's good to have you on State Affairs.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm happy to be with you as well.
Let's look at the Fulani question clearly.
Yes.
Where is the Fulani question taking Nigeria?
Well, there's only one way it is taking Nigeria, is to destroy the country, to destroy the space. Well, it has destroyed the country, and that's why I say we have now a space, is to take over that space and drive away, kill as many as they can kill, rape as many as they can rape, do whatever, plunder as many as much they can, and take ownership of a place that never belonged to them. That is where they are taking Nigeria to. And the resistance that will follow their ambition, their nefarious plans, is that will bring now the confrontation that will nail the coffin of a place they used to call Nigeria.
It will nail it?
Oh yes, certainly.
There's already a coffin?
Certainly, certainly. There's no doubt in my mind. The Fulani are, they may be politically savvy because of their advisors in Britain and US, but they are too unintelligent to want to take over the space called Nigeria. They are too unintelligent to think that they can ever become owners of this place. It's just not possible.
Is that not a conspiracy
Intelligent
theory?
people will not attempt. Any intelligent people who cannot take over ordinary Biram in Plateau State, who have tried for more than 25 years and they have not been able to conquer Biram, just Biram, and take it over, who have never dared to attack a single village in Lantan, will now dream that they can overrun the entire Igbo land or overrun a Yoruba land.
But where is that theory coming from?
Which theory?
This theory of Fulani wanting to take over our land. Is it not a conspiracy theory that might tear us apart?
No, it's not a conspiracy theory. They tried in Plateau. Plateau is almost 100% a Christian place. Bauchi is about 80% Christian. Nasarawa is about 90% Christian. Niger State is about 60% Christian. But see what is there now. Benue had been completely ravished. Kogi State is under continuous attack. And they come, they displace the people there, they settle there. When you go to Sango Katav has virtually become a Fulani enclave, which wasn't so 20 years ago. It wasn't so during the time Lekwot gave them resistance. What I'm saying, therefore, is that the way they have plundered Benue, that people there can no longer go to their farms, they go into the houses, kidnap, rape, so on and so forth. The plan is to continue, once they will have taken over the whole place, is now to move downward south. They've now moved to the east, they've moved to south, they've been killing people in Delta, they're doing the same thing in Yoruba land. Let me land. You can now see that it is the same pattern. That was the way it started when between 1804 and 1880, Yumfa, the supreme head of the Hausa kingdoms, of the Hausa 7 kingdoms, were massacred, and they took over and then installed emirs in these places. And they've not relented. It's the same dream that they want to continue, now that they had a man who had greater sympathy for their cause than they ever had.
Then what is unique about the Fulani that gives the Fulani the boldness to make the attempts you have just described, which the Sultan will not agree with you?
I know Sultan now, they've now seen, that's what I'm saying, they've now seen that it's not possible, that they're just being stupid and misguided by their few leaders who are selfish and ignorant. You know, Albright, the former US Secretary of State, warned the United States that you are becoming the most hated country in the world because of the way you are behaving. So that's the same way now Sanusi and the general in Sokoto, who is a sultan, they're also warning their people that if you are not careful, the way you are going with this, your madness, you become so hated. What is it that's emboldening you that you continue this murderous journey?
Chief Adeniyi, from your analysis, it has been an ongoing process, right?
Yes, since 1804.
So it's not about Buhari?
No, not to do with Buhari. But they found a champion in Buhari when he came to power.
When you say a champion, how
Yes.
do you mean?
Because he's the president of the, he's the patron of the Mietala.
So that does not mean he's supporting them. He's just a Fulani man.
No.
It's just a coincidence.
No. Is the one, is the head of state, is the one that has agreed to rehabilitation of the so-called Boko Haram people. Is the one that has agreed that 1,400 of them be rehabilitated back into the army. What other evidence do you need? What other evidence do you need?
But this is not the first time people who fought a war are being taken into the army. It has happened in other parts of the world.
No. They didn't fight a war. You cannot talk. We are talking of insurgents.
It's not a war.
No. Insurgents are different from fighting a war. These are murderers.
Even the FARC rebels in Colombia, some of them have been given space to come in.
Colombians were not waging you have to make the difference in all these things. Colombia, Biafra, whatever, they were not motivated by a mad project of overrunning people and taking over their land. In Colombia and others, they were fighting majorly on drugs. In Biafra, they wanted to have their own country. It's different from somebody setting out to say, I want to take you out of your number 2 in Bodija and drive you out of your room and your house or family and go into the bush and take over your family and take over your place. They're not a question of telling people who have been fighting wars and they have been rehabilitated. No, this is a different thing. You don't ever rehabilitate insurgents.
So how do we counter what is called the Fulani invasion? How can it be countered in the interest of the Nigerian state?
The way it's being countered, one of the ways, now the Yoruba are started with their Amotekun. I'm sure even though the Igbo nation agreed that they will, that is their governors, not their people. The governors say, okay, we'll go with community policing, which is still extension of Nigerian police, which is ineffective and compromised. But when they say Indigo, had dissociated themselves from the governor's agreement that they will just do community policing and that they're going to do their own Amotekun or something similar to that. The South is also doing the same. So that is one of the ways they're going to counter this madness. But more than that, whether you have a Amotekun or you have whatever other vigilante or whatever associations you may have that want to fight and so intrusion to their lands, people now are emboldened to claim their lands. Nobody anywhere in Nigeria, even in Katsina, even in Zamfara, even in Nasarawa, nobody now is afraid of the so-called Fulani. And so, and that's why I'm saying sooner or later, it will come to the open. They put veil on the eyes and faces of so many people for maybe 200 years, but that veil has fallen off. And so you cannot have anybody that will submit to intimidation from any other section of this country again, of this space.
The Igbos are spitting fire.
Yes.
The Yorubas are spitting fire.
Yes.
Even the Fulanis are spitting fire. Do we want to set the country ablaze?
You are a seasoned broadcast journalist, very intelligent, educated. You know, sir, that the country is already on fire. The country has been on fire maybe in the last 8 years. But the fire became more pronounced in the last 4 or 5 years. The country has been on fire.
We can douse the tension, can't we?
We can douse the tension if just one thing, if those who are sponsoring the aggression can call the aggressors to order.
Is the Sultan as influential as he should be?
He ought to be more influential. It's not as much as I agree with you. Otherwise, they won't be stoning his palace 2 weeks ago in Sokoto. But having said that, the Sultan, to a large extent, is respected beyond Sokoto because a lot of people see him as a bridge builder. A lot of people see him as fairly being level-headed. A lot of people see him as a Fulani Sultan that is reasonable. He has a master's degree. He was general in the Nigerian army, and they expect that he will use his education, exposure, and obeying nature to influence the course of things. So even if he doesn't have as much influence as he ought to have had, I think he can build it up gradually because people like myself, my humble self, tend to see some respectability around him, which we believe can help in galvanizing his people to a path of reason.
You know, some would say that the North is caught up in its past, in the conflict it's created.
That's right.
It remains one of the poorest zones in Nigeria.
The poorest, not one, certainly the poorest.
And we're talking about the Northwest here.
The poorest in Africa, if you want to say.
And if you look at them, has become the zone of conflict.
Yes.
Even in Nigeria.
Yeah.
You have bandits in Katsina.
That's right.
Bandits in Zamfara.
In Sokoto.
Do you think the leadership of the North now knows that something is wrong with the past?
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
I'm not talking about leadership, the political leadership.
Political leadership, unfortunately, no. Because if they were, I wouldn't expect the man in Plateau supporting Abuja. I wouldn't expect the man even in Taraba supporting Abuja. I wouldn't expect even the man in Katsina, who is currently paying, whose people are paying 1,000 per head to their attackers, to still be praising Buhari's government. But the ordinary folks in these areas are beginning to see reason, and they are not towing the lines of their political leaders. I'm sure if elections had been free and fair, no way Lalong, whatever his name is, could have become governor in Plateau. They would have probably chosen Jeremiah Hosseini. But because we didn't have elections since Buhari came to power, we've had all sorts of people claiming political leadership over their people. And that was what we have. So if you say political leadership, if you say, do they see danger in what is happening? And I say no, it is because the so-called political leadership is not representative of the people in these areas.
That's a region that has the largest number of out-of-school children.
Yes, again in the world. Not only in Nigeria, in the world.
How did we allow this to happen as a country? Because you cannot exonerate the South from the conflict of the Nigerian state.
Well, I don't know whether we allowed it. And I'll give you a reason. From the South, Zik won against it in '64. Obafemi Awolowo won against it about the same time. Even as recently as 6-7 years ago, President Jonathan built almost 200 Almajiri schools in the north to make sure that their children go to school. So what else do you want the South to do? The Southern leadership had always been preaching against this lawlessness, this neglect of your people. They just wouldn't listen because culturally, it pays them to have some people down. In 1984, Professor Jubril Aminu was Minister of Education. Yes, in 1884, in The Guardian. He said, if everybody was educated, if we allow our people to be educated, who will be the gardener, who will be the driver, who will be the cook, who will be the gateman? He said so. And
but there's some logic in that.
There's no logic in that. You could still be a gardener, be an educated gardener. We have gardeners in UK, we have gardeners in Canada, but they're educated. The secretary of my college lives in a bigger house than I live.
And perhaps he was talking about education to the graduate level, to the university level.
No, the husband is a taxi driver. The taxi driver's house is bigger than my own house. And I've been in Canada for 25 years. So you need education, whether you are going to be a tailor. My tailor in Canada has a master's degree. From Nigeria here, I encourage him to come to Canada. He has a master's degree. And he's a tailor. But rather than collect $5,000 here for sewing this, he collects $300 for making agbada in Canada. So you can't say there is logic in what you're saying. I went to Abuja in 1992. I said, let's build modern houses. I brought in what we call the third panel, 3D panel technology from Austria. And I went to Abuja. I said, look, my friend. He said, no, that's not our culture. Our culture is that people should live in huts and live in the villages and live in the bushes. I said, but you are living here in the city of Lagos. Which culture are you talking about? You are brought up in Ibadan. Well, what culture? He said, that's their culture.
Insisting on the social structure
of
society.
He said they should be living in their bushes and, and so on and so forth.
And now they are running with guns on the street.
Exactly. Because those children have been left unattended to.
And they are running down south, too.
Exactly.
Because there's displacement in the north.
One of my boys, when I was chairman MD of Daily Times, one of the gatemen there told me that a Fulani man, or wherever he came from, he said he had been married 50 times. He was under 40 years of age.
50 times?
Yes, and he had more than 60 children. And he does not know where any of the children is.
The program is State Affairs. Chief Tola Adeniyi is here. Don't go away.